Find your purpose and your passion, because a man without purpose gets into mischief. There was more copycats of Cameo in India than there was celebrities. No one's been able to copy us. They all go to zero, basically. It is a real grind. It's just how the journey takes you, and you learn so much just through your failures.
All right, guys, welcome back to Built America. We have Martin Blencowe here. He's a Brit from Brighton who built an awesome company. Martin, great to have you here.
Thank you, Sam.
Martin, you came from a small town in England, came to America and built an awesome company called Cameo. Walk me through the small journey that you started here and now you built a big company.
Well, I think, I had the American dream since I can remember. So I just knew come to America. I was a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. So it was like, America is the land of opportunities. And I really, that's true to this day. That is true to this day. If you build something here and you can make a ton of money in America, and I think America is the land of opportunities still to this day with everything. It's the land of opportunities. I came out here, and I think the one thing that I've learned, you have to evolve or die, and you have to constantly find ways to get to your destination. And the journey continues. Doesn't mean that destination is the final destination, but it's like it continues. I came out here as a champion sprinter in England, and I came out here with big dreams to make it at sports. That didn't work out for me. And then in the process, I've kind of like been through, hey, what am I passionate about? And my passion has always been entertainment. So I got involved in producing movies early on. And then that business died on me a little bit. And so in the process, a guy called Lee Steinberg, who was basically Jerry Maguire, thought I'd be a great agent. And I took my NFL test, became an NFL agent, signed Cassius Marsh, who played for the Seattle Seahawks. And in I want to say it was April 7th, 2016, Cassius recorded a video message for me for a friend, Brandon Boone, who was working at Nike. And he was a huge Seahawks fan. And I sent him a video message, and it was congratulating him on the birth of his son, Maverick. And it was like, hey, Brandon, congratulations on Maverick. I know if he gets your athletic ability, you play for the Seahawks one day. Go Hawks. My buddy thought it was the best gift ever. Anyway, that was that. September 11th, that same year, Cassius Marsh was player of the game against the Miami Dolphins, playing for the Seahawks. And it was like, if you didn't know his name yesterday, you know his name today. And I was like, crap, I need to make this guy off the field money. I'm nobody. I'm not CAA. I'm not WME. I'm not one of these big NFL agencies. I'm just one guy with one person. And, anyway, really trying to find him deals, trying to make him doing anything I could do to make him off the field money. I flew into my business partner, who's the CEO of Cameo, Stephen Galanis. His grandmother flew in, and we were chatting about stuff. And I show a video message of this, and we decided to make that into a business. And that became Cameo. And when we started off, it was like Power Move and, trying to find whatever it was. And the funny thing is, like, we're starting any business, doesn't mean it works at first. We had Cassius promote to his audience at like $5. And this was like a few months later. And we had one booking. So it seemed like the dumbest idea in the world. Like, he had 20,000 Twitter followers, and we got one booking at $5, which meant he made about $3 after our split. So it was like, oh, this is awful. And, it's interesting. It's just how the journey takes you, and you learn so much just through your failures. And Devin, the other founder, was like, hey, I think this will work for influencers. I didn't know what a bloody influencer was. And his best friend and roommate was a guy called Cody Ko, and he started charging $2, and it was literally nonstop bookings. And then all the influencers joined, and then it was, that journey, and it's just been wild. And, I've signed up 8,000 people. I was always obsessed with the talent part. So I wanted to know as many talent as possible. So that's my little brief thing with that.
Yeah, I mean, what an awesome ride. I mean, coming from England to go build something like this is incredible. But I want to underscore one little detail here is you went up to Seattle and you saw Cassius Marsh, and he did that video messaging. And that could have been just a cool idea. We were like, oh, that was nice. But then what actually transpired from that to saying, okay, we're going to go build a big business out of this? Because oftentimes we find little sparks in our business here and there. That doesn't always mean that is the direction we need to go build something from that, right? Oftentimes it can be a distraction. But then you found that personalized message to be, no, this is something we should double down on. We should go build a big business out of this. Where was that inflection point? And how did you know it was the right idea?
I mean, that came, I think, in October when I sent Steve the video. I said, look, this is cool. My buddy thought the gift was amazing. And being in the entertainment space and producing movies, there was like, oh my God, if I could get a video message from Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then you start doing the math in your head, like as well, like, okay, if you're charging $100 for this and you can do, how many can you do in an hour? Wait, those numbers are massive. When you look at like, even that exists today, like 3 minutes a day, let's say you make $300 a day. Okay, let's say 5 minutes. That's $100,000 a year, $300 a day. And you're like, for a few minutes a day doing video messages. And it just made sense. You're like, oh, but then how many times have you heard someone talk the math and the math never becomes a reality? And so it made sense straight away. So I was quite gung-ho. Steve was working at LinkedIn and I was like, I swear I was calling Steve, come on, Steve, you need to quit. You need to like, no, I don't think I was saying Steve quit, but we needed like, go faster. And then January, Steve calls me up. He quit his job at LinkedIn. I had a heart attack. I was like, no. Like, I was like, like he was all in, and I was a hustler. Just like, I had 2 little girls to provide for. So I'm trying to find anything that could make me money, as I call it. I had a few lottery tickets. I was doing the movies. I had my NFL license. And I had this Cameo thing, which was Power Move or whatever it was. So for me, I needed my lottery ticket to cash in. I think what helped with the journey of Cameo and, that kind of sticking with it is having partners, if that makes sense. And I think sometimes you can glamorize, oh, I knew that, but no, I was working with my friends. Well, Steve, was more my friend at that time. I didn't really know Devin as well. That's nothing. Devin's awesome. I'm not trying to but I just knew Steve. And, I was working with my friends and we put money in and just kept trying to be 1% better every day. I did think he was dumb. Nobody wanted to do it, to be fair. But for some random reason, I think we were all persistent. I don't even know. I think it was like, this could become something. But at the same time, the way that life had presented itself to me, I wasn't overly excited about it, if that makes sense. But I had an opportunity with Cameo to talk to a talent every day and go up to somebody that I had something to sell. That makes sense. And so that was the gift for me. It's like, you know what? I can't guarantee this thing's going to do X, Y, Z, but I get to talk to every talent in the world. And that was the thing for me. And that's why I was interested in it, because like, what else can I sell them on?
Yeah, Martin, what's cool about this is that you built this in 2017 on a marketplace. And, if you look at business today, a marketplace business actually has the highest form of leverage of probably any business out there. You look at Amazon, you look at Facebook, these are all marketplaces, right? And you probably didn't see that from the get-go, right? When you built this, knowing this has like the highest actual tech potential out there. And this is no easy task. You don't seem like you come from a tech background and whatsoever to go build this. And there's probably a lot of errors along the way. What were the first couple pieces of the team that you had to go put together in order to build a scalable marketplace? And I assume that you probably went out there and were the one wheeling and dealing, calling all the entrepreneurs, the athletes to get on the platform and negotiating all these contracts with them and saying, it is me a valuable platform. This is worth your time to go do so. How did all that transform?
To be honest with you, it's like, it took me probably 18 months to understand really how to do the job, get in front of people. It's a process to work out how to do the thing, if that makes sense. I think that was the first thing. And with Steve, the thing is what I need to do. I think coming back from a sprinter background, I like doing things me, myself, and I. The idea of having a team, I don't think that was my strength at that time in my life. I just needed to go be selfish, be me, be all over the place I needed to be. So Steve built up the team, trying to mirror what he saw me see what I was doing. Kind of, I sent out 1 million messages in the first 4 years. So finding people that had that kind of mirrored that similar personality to do a job. So I think early on, it was just kind of, like I said, you're working out, get hold of celebrities, understand the psychology of a celebrity, understand the psychology of a different celebrity, comedian, rugby player, cricket player, American football player, actors, musicians, and understanding the trigger words that are going to make them bite or have a try at this thing.
Martin, if you were to pitch me today and I'm a celebrity and you were to start over all again, and I'm one of the best footballers in the world, what would you tell me to get on the platform of Cameo today?
I would try to spin it onto you, like, why would you want to use it? How would you want to use it? And put it on you. and then find you give me the answer to get you on, if that makes sense. Whereas before, I don't think I would let you talk. I'd be like, selling, like, you know what I mean? I would slow it down now. But before, I was so aggressive. Literally, I'd be, look at this, look at this, look at this, look how much money you can make. And, I'd go there, I'd have like whoever the big celebrity was on. So I'd use, I think at the time early on, I would use, like now I'd use Jesus from Arsenal. He's in his bio, Cameo, he's a big soccer player. So now when I show them, they go, oh, wow, they're surprised, because they sometimes think that it's for older athletes or retired players. So when you show a current guy, they go, wow, they're doing it. They're so shocked, because the way our Cameo presents itself, it's not the most famous people. It's the people that do just the best with doing cameos. And so, a lot of people surprised are on it. So a younger version of me would have reaction videos. I would always believe that win the hearts and mind of the person you're speaking to. And we have some amazing reaction videos of kids crying, like, hey, this kid's being bullied at school, and the mum gets a video message and the kid's crying. And you're like, thank you so much. It made my day. My son's being bullied. And like, this is amazing. Thank you so much for your kind words and for your time. And I think that impact, you have to realize, like, sometimes I'm speaking to a guy that makes 100 grand a week, 200 grand a week, whatever the number might be. So trying to tell him that, especially early days, it was $25. Hey, you're going to make $20 from doing this video message. I would try to win them on the person they would do, who they get the video message from, and the importance of, you don't know how much this means to someone.
Yeah, this is the part where Cameo is providing just massive emotional impact to, a plethora of human beings out there today. There's a platform we talked about before this podcast called Intro, where you can get more of a, one-on-one intimate experience with a business founder. You're doing it from an athlete perspective. If I'm an athlete today, and I'd love to connect with other athletes potentially, and I'm a college football player potentially as a freshman, and I admire to be Brett Favre one day. How can Cameo potentially impact that freshman athlete who wants to become in the NFL one day? Is that possibility there today, or will that transform sometime in the future?
I mean, the reality is, the father of that athlete could buy a video message from Brett and book it as, hey, can you give me some advice? But we don't, unfortunately, the customer doesn't look at us like that. We haven't done a good branding job of, hey, you can do this and that. And that's where it's kind of like these companies like Intro exist. There was something we did in 2020 and 2021 that I actually feel like could be great. We had a thing called Cameo Calls. We shut it down, but it will probably come back in the next year and a bit, where you could have a FaceTime with a celebrity. And at the end, you get a photo, which was kind of really neat, the photo part, because if it doesn't happen unless you get a photo, right? And I think like those conversations that you could have, which is Intro, you could do that with, Ray Lewis. You want to be, or Thiago Silva, or, whoever that person that you want to have a connect, like Richard Dreyfuss, Oscar winner from Jaws. I love Jaws. That's why I'm saying that. I love the movie Jaws. So like the idea of like, Richard Dreyfuss giving you acting advice, or getting, comedic advice from, John Lovitz from SNL. These things are valuable, and you could do that through Cameo Call. So that, today it could exist if you want to buy a message for advice.
Yeah. So you've now expanded obviously into multiple verticals. You're with actors, you're celebrities, you got business entrepreneurs on there. What has been the most impactful part of this journey thus far? I'm sure there's been some massive emotional messages that you've seen consumers receive out of this. But for you as the entrepreneur and the founder of this, Martin, how has this inspired you the most?
It's interesting. There's a story I'm going to give, and this is the thing that kind of motivated me early on, because was the impact that you could have on a fan. And this is probably the best stories I have. No, it's probably the best story I have, and it's also a sad story. So when we were booked Cameo, we couldn't afford Cameo. When we were booked Cameo, my younger brother was in Vancouver doing some medical thing. He's like a little medical genius. I can't even spell what he does. He's a doctor. That's all I know. He's a lot smarter than me. And he's up there doing some talk, and he's in a pub, and he meets an English guy, and he said, oh, what is it? They're talking to each other. They said, oh, what does your family do? Oh, my brother does this. My other brother has an app called Book Cameo. And the guy goes, I got one. And, English sense of humor is very take the piss. This guy in Vancouver was also English. And he's like, no, you didn't. He said, yeah, I did. I got one from C.T. Fletcher. And my younger brother's like, oh, I know that. Like, he's on Cameo. He's on Book Cameo, yeah. And Chance said, like, I was thinking about quitting acting, and I saw that CT Fletcher was doing motivational video messaging, and I thought, you know what, I'm thinking. So he buys a video for himself, and this is kind of weird because most videos are bought as a gift. So he buys a video for himself, saying, "Hey, look, I'm thinking about quitting acting. Can you give me some advice?" CT Fletcher gets on the records a video message going, "Chance Perdomo, now's not the time to even contemplate quitting, motherfucker. You didn't come this goddamn far to call it quits." Has a 2-minute rant, right? Chance watches this video every day for like 3 months and lands one of the lead roles in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which was on Netflix, which was a remake of Sabrina Teenage Witch. And it was like, wow, this video literally changed his life. You know, he was going to quit, didn't. And when you see things like that, you're like, wow, this literally changed his life. And I would sell this message and the story to other actors, because actors are really tough to get on, believe it or not. Like, they're doing these Comic Cons, but they couldn't do Cameo. And I would send them this story in this video, and they would go, wow, I couldn't say you're going to make $100,000. I didn't know. I couldn't say you're going to make X. I literally did not know. And like the price points and what you could charge. Early on, we didn't know you could charge over $25. Like, that's how you got, time looks a bit different now when you see people at $500, $300. So, and then Charles did a video message back to CT Fletcher saying, "You changed my motherfucking life." He starts crying. "I can look after my mother," and all these nice messages. Anyway, my younger brother and Chance became best friends, and they became really close. And then Chance did season 1 of Gen V, which was on Amazon, was the biggest show. And unfortunately, last year he was in a bike accident and died. And so, it's like, it's really, it's tough, the journey of life, right? The emotions of life. I mean, life will humble you, right? And it's weird. I forgot until last year how many people I sent that story to. Like Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter. I sent him that story, and he passed away. And I don't think I even really told Chance, like, I'd sold that story. I told that story to, I couldn't even keep, hundreds, maybe thousands of people.
Martin, do you use this story now to go acquire new customers, new actors, new celebrities?
No, I'm a little bit more reserved now, unfortunately. Because I know when I'm speaking to somebody now, they know what it is. Like, there's no one there's no one in America that has no idea what it is. And they have a reservation to do it, which is sad. They think it looks bad against their brand, like, oh, too accessible or whatever it is. And I feel what upsets me the most is, like, you don't know the impact of the message you're doing for somebody. Like, you can use Cameo for charity. Like, and we have a split deal where it's 95% goes to the charitable organization, and we don't even make any money off it. 5% is the payment processor. So we're not even making money. Like, so we had Jennifer Garner recently do it for the fires. And I love when they do it for charity. We don't make any money off it, but it's like, it's just not on their thought process, which is kind of sad, because it's like, you see the impact it has on people. And it's just tough, because I didn't realize how hard talent was, how their brands and how they value themselves. And I guess they're nervous and fearful of, like, how they come across doing something and how it can affect their business. So,
yeah, it's impressive that you're able to get 8,000, celebrities on this platform who are now accessible to consumers, and, your way of persuading them to be on this platform and reframing that as, hey, this shouldn't be a money grab for you at all. This is a way of giving back. And you've been able to obviously do this quite successfully. I want to get into the meat and potatoes of actually building the business a little bit with you. And you've been on this journey for around 9 years now, more or less, 8 to 9 years. It's obviously scaled rapidly. Getting 8,000 consumers or 8,000 celebrities is no easy.
Well, I did 8. We got 60,000 on
60,000.
Yeah, but I got 8 on. Yeah,
got it. So 60,000 celebrities on here. It's a massive, global platform that has massive scale and massive TAM. So walk me through, a little bit year 1, 2, 3, and where you are today, and, like, how are you able to grow revenue? You don't need to share numbers whatsoever, whatever you're comfortable sharing with, and how the whole transformation of growth really happened.
I mean, it's pretty easy. And the nice thing about us is talent. The more talent we signed up, the more they're promoting, the more they're getting booked. So I'm trying to think what, like, another business would be like. Hey, if you got more cars on the road, get more cars. You can make more money, right? So it was a kind of, and the acquisition of getting the talent wasn't crazy expensive if you think about it. It's
How do you recruit me to get on your platform? So I am, maybe I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo, but I'm a footballer. I play for, Tottenham, and potentially want to be on the platform. You're pitching me today. How do you incentivize me to get on?
First of all, to get hold of you, it's direct message you on any social media platform, on Facebook, X, Instagram. There's an email it, look through other sources of IMDb Pro, whorepresents.com, all these things, looking for emails, right? And then reaching out, and you're most likely not going to get a response. That is the reality of it. That is the reality of it. I think that's all. But then I realized that's all sales is. It's not like, you're looking at a talent and going, oh, get hold of this. That's sales. Sales is just volume. You're going to send out 100. You're going to probably get one response. And you just got to keep doing that every single day. And then referrals. As you start building your book of business, you're building trust with certain individuals, right? And then so for example, I got Ledley King on. So I would go, Ledley King, if people don't know, this was is a captain, star, ex-player of Tottenham Hotspur. I'd probably reach out to him and say, hey, I want to get this guy on now. So then there's a referral business. So I would look for the quickest way to get to that talent. But the reality is that person, even when it's funny when you're looking for referrals, there's a certain celebrity you have on the platform, they might not be successful on the app yet. And so you can't even go to that person to get this other person on, because they're going to say, hey, yeah, I made $200. It's not going to really. So sometimes it's just the process of how you want to go about getting hold of somebody. And then, events, right? So I went to a lot of Comic-Cons where actors do autograph signings. And so just try to, in Super Bowl, Radio Row, wherever we could get in front of talent, and then go in there with the pitch and do what you can do. But yeah, that was it. That was the way.
Your business model is, perfect for creating a massive flywheel to go attract customers, because you talked about, 2 or 3 of the ways if you went acquiring customers, which, if you look at the 4 ways that you can go acquire customers, I think I saw like Hermosi talked about this. It's like you can get a lot of organic content, which I'm sure you're just reclipping all the reels that you're getting from the messaging that you're getting on Cameo, putting it out there on all your socials. You have cold outreach, which you were calling these phones nonstop, emailing them. You got potentially paid ads. You can go run some meta in Google, attract more people around the brand. And then you have referrals. So you get Ledley King on there. He gets, Harry Kane to come on. Harry Kane gets someone else to come on. And now you have a whole domino effect. And that's how you can really start compounding this flywheel like no other. What has been the most challenging part of building this? I think obviously you reached scale today, but if there's one thing that you can pinpoint at that's been extremely challenging that always sticks out more than none, what would that be?
Emotions. I think it's all an emotional journey, and being able to control your emotions and respond and not react, and communicate your problems in a healthy manner, right? I think when you have to understand, like 2018, so we're building a business. I was under tremendous stress. I had 2 little girls to provide for. And, I remember being in 2018, being in my brother's kitchen, crying my eyes out, thinking, shit, I'm going to have to go live with mum. I can't live in America. I can't afford to be in America anymore. And then a year later, I was a multi-millionaire, right? So things can change in a New York minute. Within 1 year, yeah. But like prior to that, I was suffocating, like just every day. And I don't think I ever really communicated that to my partners. And there was a fear, and I had a tremendous fear and distrust, because obviously with, the shares you're investing over 4 years, I'm always thinking they're trying to get rid of me. They want my shares. You know what I mean? And when you're the sales guy, you got your numbers on a scoreboard. You can see what you're doing. And so the fear drove me really heavily. And it was a toxic fear where to the point I became an alcoholic, functioning alcoholic. I would work, but I just didn't want to think. And there was better ways and healthier ways for me to go about that, instead of me drowning it, like trying to think about it. The fear was great, by the way, for me. Like that made me do a job that I don't think I could have ever done if I wasn't under that duress, but it's paid consequences later on in my life, if that makes sense.
Martin, what do you think fear is today?
Fear today is, the funny thing is, I'm less fearful now. I think it's more about purpose. What is your purpose? And it's easy to lose your motivation in the thing that built you. Oh, I don't want to speak to another celebrity. I've spoken to too many. I can't, you know what I mean? There's that, you do get jaded. You do get that excitement of like seeing Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown from Back to the Future and working with him, right? That's gone. Now I run into somebody, it's like, okay, Hi, how you doing? I'm Martin. I think it's just that passion, getting the heart pounding again and find things that fulfill you. So I love movies and producing. So I'm looking to do that again. And I think the fear for me there is, what if I'm not successful? What if I'm not, right? But then I think in life, you mainly fail than succeed. So I think as long as you're passionate about what you're doing and have a good game plan, and financially it's not risky, put your 1% better a day, and that compounds.
People say don't estimate what you can do in 1 year. You obviously turn into from a small Brighton kid that went to USC as a track star, and then started this business and became a multimillionaire 12 months later. What do you think?
Well, it was not 12 months from the start, Cameo, but yes, it was 3 years basically.
Started Cameo. What would you say, changed the most during that year of focus, and what did you focus on that really impacted the business? If there was one thing that you can go pinpoint at.
Do you know what? I doing the same thing, expecting a different result was madness. So every day I'd wake up and I'd wake up to literally no email, like no's from managers and agents. My client would never consider doing this. My person would never do this. And I just got sick of it. Like literally, you still have to do that, by the way. You still have to email the managers and agents, but I got sick of it. I thought, I've got to find a better way. And I just started realizing that talent knows talent, and build better relationships with the talent, and enjoy the process of having the hack instead of the hustle. If that makes sense. Like, I want to take the shortcut instead of doing the brick by brick. I mean, you still have to listen, everything, you have to do the brick by brick, but it's like, and I remember I got a guy on called Simon Rex, and he did like $1,000 or $2,000 in the first week, which was like amazing at the time. Like, wow. And I said, like, and he opened me up through referrals to so many people. And it was the most random, like, people. He connected me to Greg Sipes, who's a voice actor from Teen Titan. And then Tom Felton's sleep on his sofa at his house, who's Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. He's like, the talent was the best way. Like, once you start seeing what's winning, do that, like, if that's what's making you win the referral part, dive into the referrals and go heavy into that. And I just enjoyed that more. And then I said to myself, well, if I can't, and I started saying, well, I like Bret the Hitman Hart, the WWE wrestler. Let me go off the people that I loved growing up. So at least I'm having interactions with people that I loved as a kid. Whether or not this is going to be successful or not, at least I can have fun with the people. And I started meeting all the people that I loved as a kid. And if you go to my kitchen, I've got like thousands of Funko Pops. There's bobblehead toys, because they're literally all stories of people that I got on where I met them. So like Sting, the wrestler Sting, that's Jacksonville 2021. Bret the Hitman Hart is 2018, New Orleans. Ray Lewis is Canton, Ohio 2019. They're all in my cupboard. And they're all these like crazy memories for me, which is just fun.
Martin, you probably had some really cool dinners up in LA. You've probably, know a lot of these actors, celebrities. Who's been the most impactful to you today while building this business? Probably someone from the platform, I assume, or if anyone's off the platform as well, who's guided you and shaped you to who you are today. Who would that be?
Do you know what? It's you had this like Mount Rushmore people that have had an impact on me in my journey that led me to be successful. Like Sean Astin from Lord of the Rings, or Rudy, he's had a massive impact on me. He joined Christmas Eve of 2018, and he became a close friend. And there's some of these people that have helped out on the journey. But I'm trying to think the people have had. I think when I look at it now, it's like I'm so grateful. A lot of the talent I got on, I've become some of my best friends. And I think for me, when I think about like the impact, why is everything going to be financial? Sometimes it's just, these became my friends. Like Charlo from System of the Down, he's one of my best friends. John Lovitz from SNL, he's one of my best friends. He's basically like he's basically at this point like family. He's at my house. I'm trying to get him as a dependent on my IRS forms, and he costs me so much money on dinners. There's so many of these people, like Johnny Bananas from MTV The Challenge. That guy makes me laugh. Like, we've had some nights out. It's like, these became my friends. And I think sometimes that, life, there's always this thing about money, and it's easy to say, when you pass on financial success, it's not always about money. But who do you get to share the journey with, and the people that you get to laugh with and cry with? That is just as important, because on your deathbed, no one wished they worked harder. It's who am the loved ones you're around. And I think to myself, that's what I'm most grateful for from Cameo. A lot of these people became my best friends.
Martin, on a scale of 1 to 10, over the last 9 years of building this journey, what would you rate your score of happiness between a 1 and a 10? I think I got you on that one, huh?
It's low, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I didn't deal with a lot of issues, and you think money solves it. It doesn't. It just enhances them. Lack of emotional intelligence. No, it's interesting. Like, don't that be careful how I say it. Lack of emotional maturity. Sorry. Understanding that what you're going through is there's millions of people that have gone through the same thing as you've done, and catch yourself and understand, like, hey, if you have a unicorn business, this is how you're going to, like, these are the emotions you should go for. These are the emotions you're going to go through. And kind of, if you understand that, at least you can respond and not react, and you can kind of develop yourself. Like my best friend drowned in 2020. And that was really tough for me because I just threw myself into work. I didn't deal with it. I still haven't really dealt with it. When 2021 hit and we had $1 billion valuation, I was done. I was checked out, man. But because I wanted friends, because my friend died. So I was desperately wanting to make friends. I didn't care about money because I was good. Had enough.
What was the valuation of the company in 2021?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. And all you wanted was a good friend next to you.
I just wanted to go hang out with my friends. Yeah, because it was interesting. In 2021, I used to say to myself, well, I get to slow down in 2021. In my head, I had that always in my head. And I'll go to Venice Gold's gym, we'll hang out, we'll go work out, we'll go have some, dead. It's gone. And you start, it just has that emotional impact and not understanding, like, hey, this is what you're going through. And I think there's a lot of great podcasts out there that can help you with understanding these things. Like, I become friendly with a guy called Lewis Howes, who has the podcast School of Greatness. And I think these mindset podcasts, where I used to think they were stupid, I think are so helpful, and it's free. You can find the thing that you're going through, listen to a podcast, and there's nuggets of gold that can have such an impact on you. I think you should be doing that. Everyone's trying to find new ways to make, I think it's great to find new ways to make money, but I also think you need to find ways to deal with your emotions, because the reality is we all have enough. It's just social media's throwing us away that we don't have enough, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have the private jet. I don't have the yacht. I don't have this. And so we see the lack of, instead of being grateful for what we have. And that's such a healthier place to be.
Martin, how do you define enough today?
I try to be very grateful for what I have. And I realized that I need to challenge myself and so I did in February 2nd, a friend of mine grabbed me. The guy, he runs, I think he's the COO or CEO of the Lewis Howes podcast. He says, Mike, you need to do a marathon with me, because he can see I was going through some stuff. And I said, great. So I did the LA marathon with him. And, I think that really taught me that you need to challenge your body, but the body challenges the mind. And now I'm doing an Ironman. I'm preparing for an Ironman October 19th. And what I find that's really helpful about this, you start doing things that you didn't think you could do, and you start doing them. I swear I can feel it in my head, like this, when you start beating yourself, like you're challenging yourself, you start doing it, this starts opening up. So physically, my mind is opening up because I'm doing things I don't think I'm capable of doing. That's now impacting my business because I'm looking for the solutions, not the problems. If you're not in a healthy headspace, through whatever reason that might be, it could be just, well, listen, we're all going through some shit. And I thought to myself, like, when you start, I'm starting looking for the solutions. I like where my head's going. For the first time, I really like the way I'm thinking. I feel more positive. I feel more. So enough, just having gratitude for the day and trying to find excitement in things that fulfill me personally.
Your business, ties a lot to actually having a lot of passion alongside it. And there's actually a lot of businesses out there that it's hard to pursue passion on what you're building because you're just chasing the monetary dream. And I think there's a quote that I love the most. It's light yourself up with passion and people will travel from miles to watch you burn. And I think what you're doing today is you're creating a lot of passion between young athletes to be aspiring with professional athletes, young celebrities. You want to get a voice message from the likes of, the best in the world, as you can imagine. What kind of passion do you still have today in the business compared to when you first started the company?
Yeah, it's interesting. Today, the passion is really going for international. I'm getting goosebumps now. Last week, we went to USC to the NIL thing, went there to speak some kids. And most of these kids didn't know what it was, 18 years old. And I was like so blown away by it, because I guess I wouldn't call it arrogance. It's just like, I'm so used to people knowing what we are. Like, we're in The Simpsons, we're on this, we're on that, like we're everywhere really. And that age group then, I was like, kind of made sense, because the people that are on our platform are older. And I went, oh my God, like the whole, like, Italy, Germany, Spain, we don't have their top stand-up comedians. We don't have their Twitch gamers. We don't have their, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's open up the world. Because you know what I know? If America sneezes, the world gets a cold. We have the American talent. And I don't think a lot of people internationally really know about us. Well, they know the concept, definitely, I feel. They don't know. So that's really got me excited. So I woke up and I've been working with one of our sales guys, Jack. And once I get excited, I think I sent him 1,000 people to hit up today. Like, these are the people, this is what we need. Because we know what sells here. And so finding that version of what sells here in America, overseas. And the amazing part is, now with AI, it's so quick to find.
Yeah. Mark, how do you manage competition? Like, you're probably first to market that was doing this at mass scale. There's an Uber, now there's a Lyft. In your world, I'm sure that other people were trying to mock you guys in the same capacity. How have you guys managed those expectations?
It's a hard business to copy. And it really is. And there was a joke. I think there was more copycats of Cameo in India than there was celebrities. And I just, like, no one's been able to copy us. They all go to zero, basically. It is a real grind. And then the other thing is, a talent that's on Cameo, they don't really want to go to 10 other platforms. They don't. So, like, yeah, you might have a driver that works for Uber and Lyft. They're happy with the Cameo app. That's it. They don't need two. And if they do, the other ones they're not making much money from. And the Cameo branding is fantastic. I think that's the best thing we did.
All right, what do you think the creator economy is going to do in the next 5 years? Yeah, it's obviously expanding massively. I think talk about a personal brand is probably the only thing that someone can't take away from you.
I think the creators are just going to become it's going to be it's going to be a small number of creators that are just going to become monsters in terms of they're going to sell everything. Because they have the social media presence and devoted fans who are going to buy whatever they sell. You're going to see, which you do see it now, but you're going to see talent just be creating their own brands and building businesses through their celebrity. And I think that's just really where it's going to go, because, look, they can do merch drops, they can do this, they can make a little bit of money, but hey, you could start an alcohol company or a coffee company or a kids pajama company or whatever and make billions. Whereas, I think that's where you're going to see more talent, makeup and all these other things. You're just going to see these creators being smart, how they target their audience. But by the way, for most people, they won't ever have that, because they need to have a strong social media presence, and not many people have that.
Yeah, and to resonate with that, if I were to define success in 2 words today, my premise would be to productize yourself. If you know how to productize yourself as an entrepreneur, you'll be able to have infinite demand of whatever you want to go do. Who do you feel does this the best today in the creator economy?
Oh, geez. I'm trying to think. I mean, you've got to love, when I think about it, you got to like a Jake Paul. You see him at the Tyson fight on Netflix, and he's got his deodorant spray, spraying it. I mean, here's a guy creating deodorant. Logan, they've got their Prime Energy drink. They've evolved into wrestling, into boxing and other things. And I think Jake has that gambling site called Better. I respect that, because they're looking at things that they're interested in and building a business around it and finding individuals that can help do the part that, and I like that, because they've got so many lottery tickets of businesses that can make a ton of money for them. They can have generational wealth.
You definitely can. And I think that's where entrepreneurship is really going today for a lot of these creators, is they understand the game of how to actually create product out of their brand and delivering at mass scale. You see Mr. Beast out there, and
Mr. Beast, yeah. He's chocolate.
Platforms. What outside of Cameo on the platforms today, if you were to go focus on one that has the highest upside, there's YouTube, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's so many different platforms, and a lot of guys who are just getting started today don't know where to start. If I'm starting today on my creator economy journey, what advice would you give me?
Download Cameo right now, promote it every single waking minute of the day. That's not for selfish benefit, not at all. You know what? It's funny. I see how my kids consume content. Like, I have twin girls, they're 11 years old, and it's YouTube. I mean, they are hooked on YouTube. But the one thing I've noticed, so they love watching content that way, and it's obviously short form because they got AD. I mean, they just keep constantly swiping. I mean, you get nauseous watching. Like, hey, can we sit and watch one thing for like at least 3 minutes? I would say YouTube. But the one thing that I understand from everything that I've seen is from every YouTuber, every podcaster I've ever spoken to, you have to love doing it. And if you don't love doing it, because the money's not going to come straight away, it's just not you're not going to stick with it. And so then you're going to waste time doing something because you're thinking to make money day one. And there's a lot of people I've heard that, I started a podcast, I did 10 episodes, I didn't make any money, I'm not doing it anymore. It's like, well, that's not the game. Like, you've got to, it's a brick by brick. Okay, find ways to hit, like, I'm sure if you're speaking like Sam, you'd be like, okay, how did you get to this many downloads? Like, we got better guests because the guests and they're promoting it to their network. And there's always a quicker solution to your stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that guest wants to come on because they're going to think, oh, I'm helping you out more than me or whatever that might be. But if you love what you're doing, I think you got a good chance of doing it. But I think YouTube
definitely has the highest ROI these days on all the platforms. I totally agree with that. And I think more people are trending towards that today. Of course, I think people should get on Cameo as well. And, the platform of the future could be Cameo. And I think it might be Cameo at this point. Martin, you've been a wealth of knowledge in this. I really appreciate this. As we go to towards the end of this episode, I'd like to do a final round of rapid fire questions to you. Just answer these on the top of your mind. Well, let's give it a shot, okay? Of all the social media accounts today, who's most entertaining for you?
I don't follow on social media anymore. Crap. Who do I like? Damn it. I don't follow anyone anymore. I'm trying to think who I liked. Do you know, I get this meme sent to me quite a lot. This makes me laugh. Have you seen that guy who says he manipulated time? He has like 5 days in one day.
No.
Oh, there's I don't know. Yeah, but it makes me laugh because there's all these like funnier versions of how he manipulates time. And anyway, someone sends that to me every day and I find that hilarious.
There you go.
But unfortunately, that guy's being serious, but I don't know. I find it hilarious. The memes that get, the way they edit it and do stuff to it.
And you said you're off social media today?
I'm on social media. I just don't follow anybody. So I follow the news outlets.
That's it. Keep your mind clear.
Yeah, basically.
Martin, money's not an issue. What company are you buying today?
Amazon.
I like it. What is one tool or resource you cannot live without?
Oh, geez. I guess the phone.
What's something you believe now that you would have thought was insane 5 years ago?
I guess Waymo. That way, like driverless cars. I think that's pretty dope. Like, that. I'm going to put that in. That's the basic one. And I'm going to, do you know what's going to annoy me? After this, when he hang up, I'm going to have all the answers for these things. And it's going to drive me insane. I'm going to spend all day thinking about all these things. And I'll be like, what? And I'm going to go to myself as well. I really know this. Why would I say that manipulating time thing? Why would I even use that? It's the only thing that makes me laugh, because they do like a fish bubble head and then they'll do like a Minecraft version of it. It cracks me up.
It's supposed to keep you on your toes. And last, Martin, when did you feel you became yourself? You finally got comfortable in your own skin?
I would say if you asked me that a few years ago, 2021, I felt like I found a lot of sanity in my success. Like I really felt like finally I made it. Like I feel like I could walk into a room head high, feeling good about myself, feeling like I had some type of identity. And I would say now, after I did the LA Marathon, I feel like I'm becoming myself now. And I feel like I'm probably, if you ask me that in 5 years' time, 5 years from now, I'll be like, oh, now I feel like, I think you're just constantly evolving. I think you're constantly changing and you'll find things that provide you fulfillment and purpose during those moments of your time, moments of your life. So, but I do recommend everybody to challenge themselves physically in some aspect. It doesn't always have to be a marathon. It could be do a Tough Mudder or a Sparta on something, because I think it unlocks the mind.
I want to ask you this last one. If you could give everyone on the earth one truth to live by, what would that be?
One truth to live by. Find your purpose. Find your purpose and your passion. Because a man without purpose gets into mischief. And I really think you need to constantly be searching for something that brings you fulfillment. And it doesn't always have to be money. And I have to say that because I know it sounds weird, but it's true. It could be religious. It could be anything. And I just think you need to find something that you feel, that provides you fulfillment.
Just to tie on that is, I think we live in a world where today a lot of people are just so focused on the outcome and they miss the other two portions of the variable, which is actually just having the right people in the room and the opportunity itself. And if you focus on those two variables that are controlled, the unknown variable will be a lot easier to solve for, right? And it's probably the easiest equation you could ever solve for. USC didn't need to teach you that. You can learn that yourself. And that's kind of the premise that I live off of. And I think hopefully more people today who listen to podcasts like this can actually go and resonate with that and take that along their journey.
I like the word opportunity. I do like that word because it's like you need a lot of times there's people that are born and they're surrounded by lots of opportunity. But for majority of people, they have to go create their opportunity and understand that, you have to, I think that's the thing with Cameo there were so many opportunities to win. There were so many people, even today, there's so many people to go after. So like the opportunities and creating opportunities every day for yourself to have success. Or as I like to say, opportunities to get a lottery ticket.
Martin, this has been awesome. Where can people find more about you and Cameo?
The Cameo Instagram, Cameo on Instagram or cameo.com. And then I'm Martin Blencowe on Instagram. But like I said, I don't follow anybody apart from news outlets. And I've done that for a reason. I think it's helpful not to be surrounded by so much noise.
I love it, man. Focus on the path. Thanks a lot, Martin.